What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a great Christmas last week. We're back. Tonight we are talking Flyers Canucks preview. We're gonna give you everything you need to know for this game heading up at 10 o'clock here on Eastern Standard Time. We're also going to talk Christian Dvorak staying a little bit longer. Rumors saying that that's a good possibility. Make sure you hit that subscribe. It's time to get going. It's time to drop the puck. Let's get that conversation going, boys. Let's do this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Cinsudi along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody had a great Christmas.
And the broken one, Rob Bovia.
I know I had a great Christmas. I hope the fam did too. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hopefully, like Bry said, and like everybody, like Rob said, everyone had themselves a pleasant holiday and have a really exciting New Year's Eve planned tomorrow, whether it's something wild and out of control or it's something more wholesome and, family oriented. Whichever one it's suiting you. Enjoy it.
Family oriented. I'm pretty sure those are two phrases that don't work with this show.
Not here, but no, not here. Fuck. Oh, sorry, we lost the PG rating.
Oh, there it goes. TVMA. Let's go.
Okay, so now that we got that out of the way. Today on the show, as always, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. You got any aches and pains, go to the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal over at Specialized Physical Therapy, and hit him up at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com, and then you can visit either Cherry Hill or Burlington, New Jersey. And if you got any of those aches and pains that have been nagging at you for a little while, listen. Don't sit there and just say, well, it is what it is. No. Do something about it. Go hit up the doc. Go to his team. They'll take care of you. You'll feel as good as new after a few sessions with them. And you'll be back to doing the things you love without so much pain to deal with. Isn't that worth having? Just a little? Just a little?
Just a little.
I'm getting some of those effects right now. I'm going through physical therapy myself right now with the doc. So helping the neck feel better, doing my chin tucks, keeping up with it.
Nice. So listen, if Robbie's doing it, you got to do it. Hit up the doc. And the poll question for today is, the Flyers should get the season sweep of the Canucks after the Quentin Hughes trade. Agree or disagree? Obviously, Quentin Hughes did not come to Philadelphia as we were speculating and hoping. However, though, he found his way off to Minnesota. So he is now wearing the green and red for the Wild. With Quentin Hughes now going and no longer being with the Canucks, does this mean the Flyers have the ability to sweep this season series? Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Do you agree or disagree on the season sweep?
I'm going to agree with the season sweep. I mean, this is definitely a team that took a shot losing Quentin Hughes, but on the other hand, since Quentin Hughes has been traded, this team is 5-2 in the last 7 games. So, they're playing a little bit better brand of hockey. I think the subtraction of Quentin Hughes and the additions of bringing in Liam Ogrim and Marco Rossi, Zev Boyum, that definitely gave this team a little bit of a shot. But I think the Flyers are a much better team right now. I think they're playing a much better team game overall. Last week they had the 5-2 victory over the Canucks, so that's definitely something they have on their edge. It's just, for me, it depends on who's in net. They had a rough start against Seattle, and that really kind of tough hole for them to dig themselves out of. But this Vancouver team, I think, is still on that back end. I think they're getting better, but I still think they're a team that's going to finish down at the bottom of the Pacific Division. You know, for me, it depends on who's in net, but ultimately, yeah, I agree. I think there was a lot of. I think losing Quinn Hughes was a shot to that team, but in that same breath, they are playing better hockey. But I still think the Flyers are the better team.
Robbie, what's up, brother?
In regard to the poll, it's hard to disagree with that because no team's going to improve. It's not an addition through subtraction when you lose Quinn Hughes, and the Wild gave up quite a haul, something I don't think Danny B and company was willing to match, including Marco Rossi, another coveted guy here in Philadelphia. So, good luck to Mr. Hughes there in Minnesota. But did you know that he's still tied for the team lead in points with Elias Pettersson as a defenseman, and now 7 games into his Wild tenure? Yeah, Hughes has 23 points as a Canuck this year, but along with it came a minus 10 plus minus. He's plus 4 with Minnesota, ironically. So it's more of the system, which the whole team is in the negative for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
The Flyers, I believe, should be able to take advantage of the Canucks' defensive woes like last week, especially due to Tocchet's familiarity with his former club. That also plays into effect here. So I do expect a similar result tonight. Brian, to your point, they've been better on the win-loss, but they continue. I'm telling you, all their top forwards and several of their defensemen are minus 8s to minus 10s. That's maybe a lot of that comes from early season. There's been some recent improvement. We'll get into the numbers as we go on, but I mean, overall, you got to like Philly's chances being a team that talking top 5 in terms of point percentage in the NHL. Who had that on your bingo card?
Not me.
It's kind of crazy.
The other thing too is you're replacing an all-star. You're replacing probably the number 2 defenseman in the NHL with Zev Boyum, who, don't get it twisted, I think he's a fantastic player. He's got a massive future ahead of him, but you're replacing him with a rookie. That's massive. You're gonna have mistakes there. You're gonna have growing pains with him. He had a great debut for the Canucks. I think he had a goal and an assist in his debut, but he's still a rookie. You can't expect him to live up to the expectation of taking that spot for Quinn Hughes. In his first, what are we in December, 2 months of his NHL career.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, as for the poll question, I'm going to say agree. I think the Flyers have an opportunity here to sweep the season series, and I think they should be able to get it. Of course, the challenge is, saying and doing are 2 different things. But at the same time, though, for the Canucks, them losing Hughes, I think that that's going to be an effect on them. I think that they're going to have to just retool and rebuild a little bit here after, it seemed like the Canucks were on their way towards becoming something more prominent. But, 1 setback, 2 setback, 3 setback, and before you know it, the team just kind of fell on its ass and started sputtering its wheels a little bit, I feel. And, now they're kind of like, okay, well, what we tried did not work. So kind of back to the drawing board for them right now. And, for them, they can only hope that, their next try at it is a much better one. It's tough. It's tough to kind of rebuild your team up after you had such a prominent run. I mean, they tried to rebuild after that great run they had that culminated them going to the finals in 2011 and them winning several President's trophies and, being one of the top teams in the West. But that just didn't work out for them in this particular go around. So we'll see if this time they'll get it right.
Well, I mean, Maddie, what's plaguing them, like I said, to my point, was their defensive woes, but their offense 5-on-5 has been putrid. We're talking 3rd worst in the league in terms of expected goals at 45%, and their Corsi numbers mimic that at 47-64. So they're just not getting a lot of time in the offensive zone, which is, inflating those defensive woes because they're spending more time in their own zone and they're not getting a lot of shots on goal. Now, maybe a trade like Quinn Hughes, gives it's like kind of like pulling the goaltender during the game. It gives them a little slap in the face, a little shake up. But I just don't, this team is poorly constructed, and you could probably see this team be the next rebuild project where they tear it down, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think so too. But that happens sometimes. This is why in the rebuilding process, you got to be careful. You got to be real careful, not just with what players you get, because you can get talented players, but what you have to be able to do is you got to be able to mold them properly, and when, essentially a prospect, even a top line prospect that's in the top 10 picks or in the top 5 even, unless they're like a Connor McDavid or an Austin Matthews or a Macklin Celebrini by today's standards, you can honestly say that it's like, okay, this is wet clay and you got to mold it and you got to be careful how you mold it. You got to take your time, make sure that it's perfected and, get the right personnel to finesse it properly. And
finesse it,
yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that trade definitely helped them kind of restart that rebuild. So now you're starting to put that nucleus together, right? You have Rossi now, you have Elias Pettersson, which Lord knows what's going to happen with him and his situation in Vancouver. You have Demko locked down for a couple more years. At 29, still playing some fantastic hockey. I feel bad for the guy with the situation he's in, but maybe the trade for Quinn Hughes is a blessing in disguise for them moving forward. Looking at some of their team stats going into this game tonight, it's definitely 16-9-3 for a record. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but the penalty kill's been atrocious. They're at 75%. Face-offs is about par with the Flyers at 48%. Flyers are at 49. So they're about par there. The goals allowed is kind of where it is kind of speaks to me a little bit more. And it's go to Robbie's point when we were talking about the poll is your goals against is 3.42. That's really high for having a goaltender like Thatcher Demko. And I'm blanking on who their backup is, but I know their backup's pretty solid. But that goes to show you how bad that defense has been for them this year. Even the two-way
Kevin Lankinen?
Kevin Lankinen, yep. He had a solid year last year. We're trying to have a solid year this year, but to your point, Robbie, the defense has been putrid. They're giving up soft goals, they're giving up position left and right. You just kind of hope that maybe the shot in the arm is going to be these young guys that are coming in that can hopefully, maybe turn the ship around. There's still a lot of hockey left to be played for the Canucks, but for the Flyers, this is an opportunity for them to jump and get back on the right track after a game like they had in Seattle the other night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that for the Flyers, this is their golden opportunity to do that. Obviously, not the results you wanted in Seattle, but, this is a team that's been routinely resilient. They've come back from some tough losses and rebounded the next game. So they should be able to go out tonight and, play very strong, even if they're on a West Coast swing, which is not easy. But they should be able to handle just fine. They've been able to handle pretty much everything so far. So they should be good. I think that they should be able to get a win tonight against the Canucks, and this is a really good chance for them.
They've shown resiliency where they've gotten slapped in the face. We saw them get slapped in the face by Pittsburgh, I believe, to the tune of a 5-1 score, kind of like the Kraken did in their home building. And this team continuously responds with a W after a loss. I don't have the exact win-loss record in front of me. I should have had that. Apologize in terms of following a loss, but I've seen a lot of wins. I'm seeing, too, in terms of confirmations in net for tonight's game, Dan Vladar gets between the pipes, really getting the lion's share of starts here for Rick Tockett's got his trust. And they will be facing, once again, Thatcher Demko, who was confirmed earlier today as well. Lines, Flyers going to roll out the same Trevor Zegras, Dvorak, Konechny, Barkey, Couturier, and Tippett. Denver Barkey's been really showing like he belongs, right, boys?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something nice to see, Barkey just coming in and just like, yep, I belong here. Nice to see.
And playing with the captain too, and Tippett, I believe it's a great match there. And Mitchkov's been playing well, better as of late too, really showing better vision, better positioning, and being on a line with Cates and Brink just shows how they can make you better too. And I really like the formation them and this fourth line. Grundstrom's really showing that like a player that was just discarded by the San Jose Sharks, really, playing well here in Philadelphia with Abels and Grabenkin, York Sanheim, Andre Drysdale, Sealer, Ristolainen on the day. For the Canucks, I'll read through it real quick. They have a projected lineup of Kane, Pedersen, and Bozer on the top line, DeBrusk, Rossi, speaking of which, aforementioned Rossi and Connor Garland on their second line, Drew O'Connor, Atarati, Kiefer Sherwood, Ogren, Max Sassoon, and Linus Carlson rounds it out. And then on defense, Pedersen, Ronick, Zeev, what was his name? Zeev
Boyum.
Zev Boyum, thank you. Tyler Myers and Pedersen, Elias, that is, and then Thatcher Demko in that.
Can't find the exact roster, but I know it's very win heavy as far as what you were saying earlier, Rob, to the tune of this team just responds after a loss. And that's kind of part of the reason why I think that they're going to win this game too. And that's, something you can't ignore about this team is they don't lose multiple games in a row. So this is definitely a situation for them to take advantage of a situation of a subpar team that is definitely beatable. And it's just kind of how they've been all year. So I expect to see a little bit more of a continuation of that.
Right. And then Mitchkov too. We saw his last goal against this Vancouver team. It'd be nice to lay maybe a little parlay money on him to be the Flyers' first goal scorer tonight.
I'll look up the odds.
Yeah. Happy New Year, Greg.
Same to you, Greg.
What's going on, brother? Happy New Year. So as for, what we're going on now, what do you think so far when it comes to how the Flyers have progressed with their habits of, kind of lulling themselves into either into a lead and allowing a team to come back, or putting themselves behind the 8 ball by getting down early in a game? Through this first portion of the season, how do you guys feel like the Flyers have evolved with that? Do you feel like the Flyers have gotten better at it, or do you think that they've been staying the same, or do you think they've gotten worse over the course of this first half of the season?
I definitely don't think they got worse.
Okay. Do you feel like they've plateaued, that they're still doing the same thing, or do you feel like they've gotten better at it over this period of time?
Definitely think they might have gotten better. I mean, I don't want to necessarily say that, I'm a big stickler. You got to set the tone. You gotta get the first goal here. And I'm going to continue to say that because it's eventually going to tire this team out, and they gotta figure out a way to start playing from ahead. And this is a young team, so I understand why they keep kind of falling behind. But the good teams in this league, the teams that make the playoffs, that make the deep runs, that are considered the cup contenders. These are the teams that they go out, they set the tone, they get the first couple goals, and they don't look back. Yeah, and that to me is a big stepping stone. I think this team needs to learn, and it's going to come with time. I mean, Robbie, what say you, brother?
It does come with time, but what I'm seeing here is I didn't get the record after one loss, but after two losses, right? 19, 11, and 7. So, I mean, that speaks volumes in terms of how this team, and that's over the past two seasons, right? What we've built for, so that, not just focusing on it, but we've seen improvement this season. We've seen an ability to recognize how to improve. And you bring in Trevor Zegras, and I think that's a great example of a kid that wants to be told what is he doing wrong and how he can correct it. And I see this being a very intelligent group because of that, because they're constantly at the whiteboard trying to improve their game, and it's showing up on the ice. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
No, 100%. 100%. I agree with a lot of that, and that's something that I think has evolved and made the Trevor Zegras trade such a breath of fresh air for this organization. Was he's coming in, he has an eagerness to learn, he's got a connection with a few guys on the roster, so he's really putting it together. Having a fantastic season. I think he's been a spark for this team, if I'm going to be perfkly honest. I mean, hold a record of the 7th of Maddie, this is to kind of really build off of what your question was. I think Zegras alone has kind of helped this team take that next step. And like I said, there's still some learning to happen here. Like, this is a young team. There's still some growth, some maturity. But I mean, ultimately, I think they've plateaued in a good way. What do you think?
I think that they have improved. I think that the thing that they've really done well is they've actually started taking more leads in games. I think recently they've done that a lot more than having to come from behind. Which is a big improvement, because we talked about earlier in the year how they struggled mightily with getting scored on first, and it was a constant thing where they were always having to come back. And there's nothing wrong with comeback kid hockey in the sense that it's exciting. I'm not going to argue with the excitement. It's always fun and exciting when your team manages to pull itself back, from a losing position. But here's the negative of that. You're eventually going to get to a point where that's not doable anymore, where a team is going to shut you down after taking the lead. And it also depends on the team you're facing, of course. Obviously, if you're facing a team that's lackluster, if you go down to them early, very highly chance you come back on them. But if you go down to a team, say, like Dallas, that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to come back from them, especially if Dallas's offensive weapons decide that they really want to start, packing home the goals.
Yeah, we saw that earlier in the year too.
Yeah. I mean, Robertson had the hat trick on us. So, the point is that, some teams that's not going to work so well on. So what I liked was the fact that this is a team that's starting to play from a stronger position at the beginning of games. Does it always hold? Maybe not. Something that can be worked on. However, though, they're at least taking the initiative in the games, and they're at least setting the tone, which is a huge step in the right direction than having to constantly chase every single game that you're in. That's not what you always want to constantly do.
They're not chasing as much, Matty. I couldn't agree with you more. They're dictating the pace a lot better, and that's why they're able to compete with the cream of the crop teams in the league, as we've seen as recently as the Colorado Avalanche. And now the Kraken are our strong home team. We dominated them at home, so it kind of went back and forth. But I finally got my shit together on the Flyers record of following a loss, and they're 11-6 this year following a loss. Right, it just shows tremendous resiliency, and that includes the time where they lost back-to-back games with Carolina, or else they would be, if they would have gotten one of those wins, they would have been 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would, like, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Swoopy, love you too, man. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. And Swoopy was saying Flyers fans and media think the Flyers should make big trades. Stop. Keep the rebuild going. Don't go ahead or feel forced to rush it. Keep it going. And
you must really like how they didn't go after Hughes then, because it would have taken them giving up probably Porter Martone and Jetlachenko, or even maybe even throwing in Jack Nesbitt in there as well, or instead of one of those players, in order to have gotten that deal done, plus an Owen Tippett. Because if you look at what the Wild gave up, so I agree with you, Swoopy. It's like you drafted these guys for a reason, right? Don't block their path. Let them, and there's a potential, not trade, but a potential extension on the table that we're going to get in the second half of the show. That's going to be a key issue in terms of what do you do, play for now or play for the future, in terms of allowing these kids to come up and grow with the team.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of the idea of trading two major prospects away don't get me wrong. Hughes is a well-proven talent. I'm not going to say that he's not, but it's like, I understand if you sacrifice one, but sacrifice two, it's like he better be putting up numbers immediately.
Yeah.
Or that's a problem real fast.
Yeah. I mean, from everything I've heard about the Quinn Hughes deal, teams were putting up a lot, but nobody could match what Minnesota put up. I mean, they put up 4 of their top prospects in the entire organization, or 3 of their top prospects in the entire organization. And then on top of it, they threw in another first-round pick. So, how do you say no to that?
Right.
How do you compete with that?
And to be fair, yeah, you can't really compete with that. And to be fair, if anybody wants to say, well, why didn't they consider that? Well, we also have to remember the position of where Minnesota's at. Minnesota's in a different area than where the Flyers are at. Minnesota's been in the playoffs a few times these past few seasons. I don't think they were in it last year, though, if I remember correctly. I don't think they made it last year, right?
I don't remember. I think they were, if they did make it, they were a low seed.
Either way.
Mm-hmm.
Point being is that they have had recent playoff berths. And the biggest problem with them has been competing against the teams that they have to compete against in the playoffs. They've run into Vegas multiple times. They've been eliminated by Vegas multiple times. That's a perfect prime example of what they're going at right now. They're struggling to compete with those teams that they have to go up against in the postseason. So, and it's also a team that if they missed last year, which now that I'm thinking about it, no, I don't think they did make it last year. They're trying to get back.
24, I think was the last time. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I could have sworn they made it last year. Yeah.
So it's been a little bit, but they're trying to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team that's in a very different position than where, say, the Flyers are at. The Flyers are in a position of, we want to make it back for the first time in a long time, but not at the sacrifice of our team structure. We're trying to build the system and trying to build that structure that's going to make us a consistent playoff berth. Minnesota's already had a taste of that. They're trying to get back to it.
Yeah, and Minnesota still has a lot of young talent that is established in the NHL. You still have Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov. You still have Jonas Brodin, and there's a bunch of other guys. But now you bring in a 26-year-old. Like, that's the only reason why I've even thought about going after Quinn Hughes, is because he's still 26 years old.
Yeah.
You bring in that elite talent. It just makes an impact on the right team. So, would I have given up what Minnesota gave up on the Flyers standpoint? No, because apparently they wanted more tone and they wanted Michkov, and I would have said no to that immediately.
Oh, no way.
I'm not even picking up the phone if I'm hearing that. Absolutely not.
So the route that the Flyers are going right now, I'm fine with. Let these guys develop and bring them up. Barkey, for example, is in a perfect situation. It's a low pressure system for him. he doesn't have to do anything crazy. He just has to come up and play his game, and he's doing that. And yeah, he looks like he fits. So I mean, does he get sent down? Probably, but he's making a statement up here right now, and I think you're going to see a little bit more of that tonight against the Canucks. I think it's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, you only get one chance to. Oh, I'm sorry, Robbie.
Real quick, 30 minutes to game time. It's the perfect time to hit that like, hit that comment, hit that share.
Yeah,
subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just wanted to do that plug for you guys.
Absolutely.
I got it somewhere.
We always love a good shameless plug around here.
I'm so unprepared.
But as for by the way, Priz, sorry you're going through that, brother. Anyway.
Yeah, we were talking about that offline. That's not fun, man. Definitely. Thoughts and pray. You'll get together though, man. Good doctors, man. I've seen the good work that they can do. You'll be good, man.
Yeah. But that's what we wanted me to go on a 15-minute angry rant on that one. They'll come back eventually. Not yet. They'll get there. They'll get there. They'll get there probably when the team should be winning the Stanley Cup again. Then we'll talk. Well, that he might make a reappearance after that. Anyway, but no sacrifices to team structure. That's what we're saying. That's one player, Brian. No doing it. Thorough trades unless it is 1-for-1 or close to it with other assets too.
Nah, dude. Like, no, a Quinn Hughes, dude. You sell the farm on if you have the opportunity to. You sell the farm, and Minnesota did that, and it's the right move. It's the right move.
So, on that note, with the decision made on the Quinn Hughes deal and the Flyers and the Canucks battling it out and the way that the Flyers have been playing recently, what do you think in terms of score-wise? What are you guys expecting?
I think it's going to be another high-scoring affair. Like we talked about the defensive weaknesses, and to zero in, I believe, Brian, you touched upon this earlier, but to reiterate in terms of the special teams matchups. Now, hey, Flyers have had their struggles on the power play. That's well documented. They've slipped to 25th now, 16.3% success rate. But Canucks PK rate ranks 30th. So this would be a great time to get the power play going, right, in the positive direction against the lower brow team when it comes to that. Now, Vancouver, they bring a strong power play. They're ranked 12th wide with 20% success rate. And so it's sort of strength for strength, right? So Philadelphia's PK, they rank 9th with 82.5% success rate. So it'll come down to special teams. And I just feel that this team can play better 5-on-5. And then if they get, draw penalties within 5-on-5, that's what'll put them to that 3-4 go plateau. So I'm going to say 4-1 Vancouver Canucks. And despite that, Dan Vladar gets number 1 star. Makes a lot of 10 bell saves.
Okay. I like it.
All right.
I like it.
Right. So we got that. That's good. I'm gonna say 5-3 Flyers win.
I like that.
5 is the magic number.
Yeah, I think 5 is definitely a doable number for the Flyers tonight, and I'm gonna go with. I think it's going to be a similar score to what they had last week. I think it's going to be 5-2. I think the Flyers are going to get the victory. I think Vancouver's going to get out to an early lead, and the Flyers are just going to be like, nah, I don't think this is going to happen this time. Robbie, you brought up another great point, man. Like, I think this is going to be a special teams game. It's going to really come down to the Flyers power play. I feel like the having going up against a penalty kill that's 75% right now. That's at bottom of the league. It's an opportunity to get this power play back on track. And we've seen what this team can do against bad penalty kills. They can take advantage of them. So I think we see a lot of that when Dan Vladar once again has an outstanding game standing on his head. 10 bell saves. I like the term there, Robbie. So I'm going to steal that from you real quick. I think it's going to be a 5-2 game. I think the offense wakes up a little bit more tonight.
All right. All right. So we got our scores here. We got Flyers wins all around, which is nice to hear. So who do you think is gonna who do you think is lighting up the lamp tonight?
Well, I said Mitchkov. He looked good against the Canucks last week, and overall that line has been producing pretty well, playing well 5-on-5. Um, you always hope for Barkey, right?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
would like to see it. Yep. Yep, absolutely.
I mean, can you take Carl Grundestrom off the bingo card right now? Like, I mean, this
Yeah.
is a guy who's almost a point per game player since
I
coming over
know.
in the Ryan Ellis deal. Let's go.
I know,
I'm going to
right?
throw his name in that hat. He's going to be my player to watch.
Yeah.
I think he definitely gets at least a point tonight for sure. Because why not? He's hot.
Yeah.
He's on a
I
heater.
agree. Yeah, I think the Carl Grundestrom one is a good pick. I'm gonna say I'm gonna throw Brinky in there. I think Brinky lights the lamp tonight. Yeah, Brinky's the type of guy who just comes out of nowhere. He always finds the back of the net.
Yeah, I was thinking Brink too.
You know what I want to wake up to? A picture
What?
of Denver Barkey holding first NHL goal
Let's
puck.
go.
There
That's
you
what I want
go.
to say.
There
That's what
you
I want to
All
say.
go. There you go. So, on that note, was there anything else we wanted to jump into in terms of the Flyers Canucks preview for tonight?
No, I think that was well covered.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's
All
go
right. Then.
Flyers.
I
So,
mean, I
yeah.
might stutter a little bit, but we got all the information out there.
You're not the hey, listen, you're not the only one stuttering there, brother. I stutter quite a bit, so
So now that we have the preview done with the Canucks and Flyers, hopefully a win for the Orange and Black, as we believe so. Let's talk about one Christian Dvorak. Now, obviously, Christian Dvorak, he was a veteran signing coming on in from free agency. And a lot of people were wondering, okay, can he still produce and can he still be an effective offensive player? And I think emphatically he has said yes over the course of this season. Whether that's because of the system or because of him feeling like this is his chance to really take a new lease on life here in Philadelphia, whatever it is, I don't give a shit. I'm just very happy that he is producing for the Orange and Black in a big way. So, with that, gentlemen, do you feel as though that Mr. Dvorak has earned himself a little extension here from this organization?
Well, I mean, the earliest the team can sign a player to a contract, Dvorak has the 1 year deal, which basically you thought he'd come in here, be a stopgap, be a trade deadline asset, potentially, best case scenario. And he's been more than that and then some. So, while we could expect an announcement in just a few days, we're almost at that January 1 day with New Year's right around the corner. It wouldn't be surprising if this does get done in the next few weeks because, uh, like I said, he's definitely fit in with this team. He's fit in really well with Trevor Zegras. And if your intention, and it better be your intention, to sign Trevor Zegras as well following or even during this season, giving him that extended deal. Dvorak's going to be looking to commit the remainder of his good years to the Flyers, so he's going to look for, I believe, more years than the Flyers would be willing to dish out. He does turn 30 this February, but the Flyers, they're going to keep in the back of their mind. They want to be careful not to block their young center iceman and Jet Lichenko and Jack Nesbitt. I expect Danny's going to want to zero in on a 2 year deal. I feel that way you don't have to rush Jet and Nesbitt now. Plus, having depth at center, it's never a bad thing.
No.
Highlighting that chemistry Dvorak has with Zegras, it's just been outstanding. I think it's worth 2 years. What say you, boys?
I think two's fair. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's
He's
not
going
a
to want
problem.
more, but I don't think you have to prove it a little bit longer.
I mean, unless a team is really willing to throw a lot some length and some cash his way, I think that that's very reasonable. I mean, if they want to do 3, I wouldn't necessarily lose my mind over that. I mean, it's stretching it a little bit, but not to the extent that I would pull whatever hair I have left out. But if it came down to that,
You meet both.
That makes 3 of us. Oh,
That's why we're on a hockey show. It fits.
yeah. One day we're just all just gonna have to wear like mullet wigs or something. But you know, as it comes to contract, I think like 2 years would be fair, honestly. And I think maybe, you know, what's he making now on his contract? He's
5.2 something, 5.3 something.
5.2, 5.3. Maybe, I don't know, give him a little bump. Like, you don't have to go to 6, but at least bump him up a little bit. You know, like a little extra money, just for the fact of like, all right, we'll give him a little bit extra cash because he's played very well. You know, just to show like, hey, we're not only giving you an extension, but we'll give you a little up in pay, just a little uptick. Maybe nothing drastic, but a little bit more, you know?
So I'm in agreement with both of you guys. So I think the extension is something that he's definitely earned this year. After all, he's on pace to have a career year in points and goals right now. So we're only 36 games in. He's at 24 points. He's got 8 goals, 16 assists. So he's on pace to have a career year here in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I definitely think he's definitely earned a contract. And I did not think he was as young as he was. For some reason, I thought he was older. So there's that. So also the thing to keep in mind too is I don't necessarily know if he's going to be that block for Jetlachenko. I think he's going to wind up. I think Zegras winds up on the wing a little bit more permanently, so that's going to open up that opportunity for Jetlachenko to really take that center role next year.
Fair.
And I think that's definitely going to give Nesbitt an opportunity to not have to rush him up so he can continue to develop in the juniors or take a year in the AHL. So I think that gives him a little bit of a buffer there. So Dave Bagnatta from the fourth period did put out a tweet earlier today. As far as rumors go, Flyers and center Christian Dvorak's camp have been chatting extension for a little while, a multi-year deal, possibility in the 3-year range worth about 5.5 per season.
Okay.
Isn't too far in the offering.
Okay. Yeah, that I think that's actually very fair. I think that's a really solid number, and I think 3 years, like I said, I'm not gonna lose sleep over that. So you know, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think that's a solid deal right there. If
You
he
could give
wishes
the
to
3
do that.
years, and then you could. I mean, going into the last year, he could be a trade asset. Maybe you're not all 3 years in the orange and black, but you give the player the contract that he wants. That's a happy medium because we saw him. I mean, like he went down due to injury, and he came back rather quickly and immediately impressed. You know, he missed the Ranger game, came back against these same Vancouver Canucks and potted a goal. So. You know, you'd like to see that, right? When guys work hard, it's a sign that guys are working hard off the ice and bringing that work ethic onto the ice. And at this point in his career, it's time to solidify, you know, his standing in the NHL.
Right, right. And I mean, I think Dvorak, for the most part, I think he's been. You know, I think throughout his time in the league, he's been a solid enough piece for a lot of teams, and throughout the franchises he's been on, what's he been on? 3, 3 or 2? He's been.
I just had it up. Arizona, Montreal, Flyers. That's 3 there. I'm
Okay,
blanking up
so
the other one. Hang on, give me 1 second.
okay,
Nope, just the 3. Arizona,
okay,
Montreal, and Philadelphia.
okay. So yeah, so he had 2 teams before he came here. But the point being is that, you know, coming into this team, you know, with the 29 years of age, you know, you get to that point in your career where you're like, all right. So it's either one of 2 things. Either you're just getting started and you still got plenty of gas left in the tank, or you're getting ready to start, you know, kind of not falling, but you're starting to kind of like hit that sort of plateau and you're kind of where you're at. so far, what I've seen from Dvorak is maybe he does have a little extra something that he could contribute to the Flyers. And if that's the case, like, all right, I ain't complaining, like that's a happy surprise if anything. So yeah, well, like keep him around. If he's producing, it's like, go ahead. And if Zegras is building a good chemistry with him, it's like, absolutely. I want those two to be a fucking dynamic duo. If that's how we got to be, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Ride that duo to as far as it can get us.
Yeah, I mean, he's had in his career 38 points is the highest he's ever had, and that was with the Arizona Coyotes back in 29-20
Okay.
or 2019-20. Sorry, I don't know
Yeah,
why.
29.
I'm
I was like,
so
wait a
tired.
minute. Hold on a second.
Homie,
Whoa.
my brain is mush after work today. So now he's after last year, he had 33 points in his final season with Montreal. Now he's at 24 points now, so he's 9 points behind that pace, which I think is definitely something that is doable for him at this point. So if this he's a kid to me, so I'm gonna roll with it. This kid's gonna wind up, having a career year here, and he fits the mold of what this team is doing and what Danny Briere is trying to do. 100% extend him. Zegras, extend him. I think that's definitely something that's happening. I think that's going to be a summer move. Jamie Drysdale, I believe, is a UFA or an RFA at the end of this year as well. I think he's another guy who, after the year he's having this year too, he's another guy that I think needs to get re-signed and maybe not give him a long-term deal, similar to what you're probably going to give Zegras. But I would give him a 4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, this
that's fair.
maybe he's a part of the reason why the Flyers don't want to go all in on Quinn Hughes is because you're getting similar production from Jamie Drysdale, or I shouldn't say similar production, but they're similar type players where they're offensively talented, but they still like to play a defensive game. And under Tocchet, maybe we're seeing a version of Quinn Hughes and Jamie Drysdale. I mean, that's a really strong comparison, but but under Rick Tocchet, point being is Jamie Drysdale has improved immensely defensively. And he's got to get the offensive numbers up, which is my big bugaboo with Drysdale. But as long as he's still playing responsible defense and playing as well as he is, his offensive numbers could stay where they are.
Right.
Give him a check too.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, so far, everything's been really going in the right direction in terms of, I think overall the team has been in the right direction. I mean, obviously not just in the standings. I mean, anyone idiot could tell you that. But I mean, when we talk about the way that the team has just been going forward this year and the way that the team has just been resilient and the way that the team just feels like there's a vibe in that locker room that's saying, hey, we've got like a new lease on life and we've got this new shot in the arm, this adrenaline going through us. You kind of feel that with this squad. And it's not just because of the youth. It's because they feel like this is what it's meant to be, and it's like, that's a huge thing for a franchise. That's a huge thing for any squad to feel like you have the spot where you need to be. Do you have all the players that you need to have at this moment? Maybe not, but the vibe is in the right direction and it's where you want to be. It's like, it's almost like in life where you get to a point where you're just like, okay, maybe not everything is perfect, but where I'm at isn't bad. Like, does that mean you stop striving? No, but where you're at's okay, and you can still do better. I feel like that's where the Flyers are at right now. We're okay. We're still striving for better,
Right.
but we're
Right.
not bad. We're not bad where we're at.
They're not smelling themselves right now. They know that
Right.
there's still more work to be done. I mean, just to Brian's point too. I mean, at this point, yeah, Jamie Drysdale has done enough to warrant re-signing, but not for a large sum of money because there's still cracks and chinks in that armor too. Specifically, last game against the Kraken, getting caught twice out of position, resulting into Kraken goals. So, I mean, he's working hard, and I believe they will get value out of the Cutter Gauthier deal with Jamie. And he's naturally a good defenseman to have because of that right-handed shot as well. If he can match the level of offensive production that maybe the Flyers once saw and the Carolina Hurricanes certainly see with a Shane Gostisbehere, I'd be happy. That I'd be happy with him, and he's another player where you can keep affordability and keep under the cap, so that way you can spend to really improve your team in other areas that currently aren't on the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, we'll start to see more of the improvement, and I think we'll also see more of the progress that we want to see. And we've been seeing it. And I think we're going to continue to see it. And I think Drysdale, I think the opportunity is more than there for him. And I think he can do it. I believe that Drysdale can do it, you know? So with that, I think I think to summarize it up, I think, yeah, Dvorak's earned himself an extension. And I think that, for other players that, have been talked about with re-signings, I think Drysdale has more than an opportunity. And I think he's proven that he's worth, giving that opportunity to, of like, hey, we know that you're not perfect, but, you've been working and you've been striving for better things. So give him I guess you could argue a bridge in a way, or not necessarily prove it, but a bridge is, which I think is like a step above. And then you
Right.
definitely go with Zegras. Of just like, yeah, I mean, you'd have to be an idiot not to try to resign Zegras with the season he's fucking having.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you go the same route with York, right? I mean, didn't York get that opportunity to prove himself, like a prove it deal,
Mhm.
and bridge it up to, where either you're getting, you make that next step, that next improvement, and you get signed here long term. In Drysdale's case, Dvorak more shorter term, but in either event, it's not getting you hamstrung in your payroll. Like that's been a common misstep with the Flyers organization, and so far we've seen with Danny and Keith that make much more smarter, intelligent moves based on salary cap implications.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that Danny has really. It's something that I have to say, the responsibility level is so high with this organization right now. And that's something to really think about, because how long has it been where the Flyers have been a team spending money like drunken sailors?
Right.
This is a team that's starting to learn like cap management properly. And it's like, you know what? It's just something to behold, something that deserves a little bit of an acknowledgement. It's like, finally, financial responsibility has come to the Philadelphia Flyers. It's about fucking time.
Um, to kind of build off of what you guys are saying here, like I think ultimately, you bring Christian Dvorak in initially on a prove it deal, coming off a relatively strong season with Montreal. You bring him in for his veteran leadership. You bring him in for his locker room mentality, and creating that culture that John Tortorella started, and you want to continue with Rick Taka, which I think has been just absolutely outstanding
Right.
continuation under Tocchet. I think he's
Agreed.
very appreciative of Torts, and and wanting to continue that for him. And this is what happens when you put a nice group together, where you're starting to see them want to play for each other. And Dvorak, like I said, on the verge of having a career year at 29 years old. He's probably playing with Zegras most of the time is helping with that. But this is a guy you bring on an improve it deal. You're expecting him to be treated at the deadline to bring in maybe a couple picks or something. But I mean, come on, this guy's been outstanding since he's come here, and I've always liked Christian Dvorak. I don't think he's ever been as good as his dad, but he's always been really a strong player. But this is an opportunity for him, and he's taken it full stride. I think we Rick Tocchet, being here, I think is a big reason why we're seeing some of these guys really take that next step. And the aforementioned Jamie Drysdale, Christian Dvorak, Trevor Zegras, so on.
Let me ask you guys this question. Now, this may be bold, since we've still got a lot of hockey left to play. But if the Flyers make the playoffs, especially if they make the playoffs higher than a wild card, like a lot of people would suspect they would if they were to get back in, would you argue and say that Rick Tocchet deserves a Jack Adams?
Yeah, tremendously from the jump that they made. They're talking about a team that basically coughed up a playoff spot 2 years ago to not even sniff in the playoffs. They were moving in the opposite direction. And yet still, to Brian's point, building upon it, not throwing away and having the restart from ground zero, right? That it was just part of the process. You had to take, a step back to go 2 steps forward, but it takes the leadership to take that second step. It's really easy to take that first step, but then you got to take that second step. And a second step would be not only making the playoffs, but maybe even the potentiality of making a little bit of a run. They do something like that. I mean, I know it's based more on the regular season, so it would just be making the playoffs. But if they make the playoffs as the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed, are in the Metropolitan, how can you not be in that conversation?
Honestly, I think he should be in the conversation whether they make the playoffs or not. I mean, just seeing what he's done with this team was expected to be a bottom feeder, and I was kind of with everybody else thinking that this team was going to finish in the lower half of the standings. And is it still possible it happens? Yeah, it's a possibility. But I think as the season goes and these guys continue to play together and creating this bond, like I saw a picture earlier of Zegras. He had Konechny in one arm and he had, I think it was a Tippett in the other. And he had him had them both in the headlock, hugging them so hard on the bench. Like, I mean, these guys are playing for each other. And that's something that I love that Rick Tocchet is doing with this team, and he's embracing it. Like he initially didn't like being called Taco, and now he's going by it. But Zegers only. But that being said, this team is just on the upward swing now, and it's going to be, are there still pieces to add? Yes. Is there still some stuff that they have to do better? Absolutely. Are they a great team yet? No, but they are a good team. And some of these other things that we're talking about that may not necessarily be the best for this team is the building blocks that is going to get this team from being good to great, and then from great to cup contender. And a lot of it is going to start with what Danny Briere and Keith Jones has started with this rebuild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to throw
Cheers
that out.
To that.
Yeah. I mean, but I just want to throw that, you throw that out there just because of the fact that, it's like, look at the way that this team's played. I wasn't sure how they were going to come out this year. I mean, honestly, there are people who had positive ideas on it, people who had negative ideas. Like, I have no clue with the way that this team's been playing. It's been up and down with them, but the way that they've been consistently, holding on, coming back, being resilient as hell, having balls of steel when they've needed to have balls of steel. It's like, you know what? That's a mentality that you can't buy. That's a mentality you create. And you know what? If that's what Tocchet's been doing, it's like, damn, man, he's got a fucking magic he's working right now behind that bench. That's all I got to say about that. If that ain't worthy of being talked about for the Jack Adams, I don't know what the fuck is at that point.
Yeah. Like I said, he's doing wonders with this team, and he's bringing the best out of a lot of these players, and it's just something you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It could have went south. It could have been like, oh, here we go again. Flyers showing supreme nepotism and it blowing up in their face, and now they got to rebuild, right? Mm-hmm. Like, almost the way it looked like the Sixers could have been going for a little while there, until they, grabbed the hold of things. But in either event, the New Year's is on the horizon, and Flyers are playing after dark tonight, and we're always ATD after dark towards the end of the show. So I just definitely wanted to cheers both my co-hosts here as well as all the fam. We love you. We love the support. I love you fellas. We've been doing this for a long time, and I hope we do it from a long time coming. Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Appreciate all of you guys.
Absolutely. To everybody there, all of you guys, to my two brothers right here on the show, to all you fam out there, I say it all the time, and I mean it every single time. You are the lifeblood of A2D. So thank you guys very much for continuing being that. We appreciate it every year. If you're new or if you've been here for a long time, it don't matter. Thank you. That's all I want to say. And with that, I think that does it for this edition of Flyers Talk A2D, unless you two gentlemen have anything else you want to throw out there.
Brian, last word.
Hey, listen, 2025 is over. It's a wrap for Flyers Talk A2D in 2025. Let's take the show further in 2026. We love you guys. So much appreciation from the bottom of our hearts for letting us do this for 10 years, going on 11 years. Jeez Louise, where's the time gone?
I know.
From doing it into a basement to being on StreamYard, definitely a wild ride. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. I wouldn't want to do it for any other company than A2D. I love Tommy. I love the boys that are a part of this that you don't see, from the guys on Eagles Talk to the guys on just before us, Chrome, Arch, on Lazy Booking, all the guys, the guys we're on this crazy ride with. I appreciate all of them. I appreciate everybody that comes in, and whether I like your comment or not, I appreciate every single comment that comes in here because you keep us going. And to the guys that are in here every week, I can't thank you and appreciate you guys enough.
Yeah, big time.
Well said, brothers. And for that, we wish everybody a happy new year and a happy fun tomorrow, whatever it is you're doing. Whatever it is, even if it's something of just sitting at home and just relaxing, enjoy it.
If you're going out, please be safe.
Yes, please.
Get yourself a designated driver, just not me.
Yes.
Uber, Lyft, do something. Yes. Call, figure out a way to get in touch with me. I'll come get you. Don't drive. Don't drive. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Have fun, be safe, enjoy yourself, and and enjoy it. And Happy New Year to each and every one of you out there. From all of us here, thank you once again. We will see you next week right here on Flyers Talk A2D for the first one of 2026 for our 11th year doing this. And let me just double check here on the schedule here. Oh, well, boy, howdy. What a way to start 2026 off. Oh, guess who the Flyers are playing next week on Tuesday?
Oh, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Hockey Happy Hour Bowl returns. I'm sorry, the Flyers A2D Bowl returns because...
Oh, boy.
we can call it in honor of the former name. We can.
We can. We should have a belt made for this because
and it's in Philly too. And it's in Philly too. So get out the Bluebirds.
On one end, we have the orange and black of the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the orange and black of the Anaheim Ducks.
The return of Cutter Gauthier.
The return of Cutter Gauthier and Trevor Zegras getting a shot at his old mates. Ladies and gentlemen, the Battle of Flyers Talk A2D returns next week to start off 2026. What a way to kick off the new
fireworks
year.
Right there. Let's go.
Let's go. So next week, right here, live, we will have an opportunity to give you some live reactions to the Ducks and the Flyers. We haven't had a chance to do this in 3 years. I think it's been 3 years. Yeah, so 3 years it's been since we've had our opportunity to do that. So with that being said, we look forward to that next week, and we look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Until then, like we said, Happy New Year. You stay safe out there, and you stay healthy out there. Brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy with the Dr. Paul Vidal. Enjoy Flyers and Canucks coming up right here for you guys. Peace and love, everybody.
Enjoy the game. Have a great New Year.